The Penguins play the Jackets one last time tonight at PPG Paints Arena. The 2025 MLB regular season came early for the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Chicago Cubs. Who gets the start on opening day at Rogers Center when the Blue Jays host the Orioles? My name is Scott McGregor, and this is Sports for Beginners. Finally, it's time to play ball. Let's go. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports from the fans' perspective. Here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. Welcome, every single one of you. Hello, everybody, and welcome into episode 8 of season number 4 of the podcast. My name is Scott McGregor. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Friday, March 21st, 2025 show. It's episode 8 of season 4. 4 seasons, now 8 episodes in. How far do we think we were going to get now with more episodes coming? Oh my goodness me. A lot to get into, and we're going to start off in our lead off, I guess, with my thoughts on the Tokyo series between the Cubs and the Dodgers, and we'll get into what has been confirmed as of late, as I was actually tuned in to the earlier half, I should say the last little half of today's Blue Jays spring training game, which is in the top of the ninth as we are recording this on Thursday, March 20th, 2025. They are in the top of the ninth of that game against the Tampa Bay Rays in Grapefruit League action. We'll talk about that a little bit more and what the Blue Jays have confirmed for the opening day matinee games in a 4-game season series for the Blue Jays. And, yes, I said and, for the Blue Jays, and the one and only Baltimore Orioles. We'll get to that before the program is up. But without further delay, we're going to kick things off with a couple of thoughts on the Tokyo series between the Dodgers and the Cubs. And after we talk about that in our second segment, I will talk a little bit about my thoughts on the Penguins and the Blue Jackets season series so far, how many games each team has left in the season. And as we are recording this for you live, not live actually, but it's a pre-recorded show, I want to let everyone know that we have the Penguins and the Jackets doing battle by the time you hear this show on a Friday, March 21st, 2025. Happy Friday to all you listeners here on Sports for Beginners. Normally we would get you ready for some Elimination Chamber Well, actually, the Elimination Chamber just went by, but we're not doing that. All right, so our show overview is done. We will talk Penguins and Jackets in our second segment. We will talk about a couple of things also coming out of Pittsburgh hockey, including the Penguins going international next season in 2025-2026. We'll talk about that all in a little bit. If we don't get time to talk about that, we will save that to kick off our Buffalo Sabres recap, which is episode 9 of season 4. But you'll find out more about what's in store on that a little bit later. All right, so we're going to talk Blue Jackets and Pens. We're going to talk about the Tokyo series. That'll lead things off. And we're going to talk about Blue Jays versus Orioles, who has been confirmed to start on opening day. That's our show lineup for you today. And I want to make note, even though this is being recorded on Thursday, March 20th, 2024, I want to make note that we will provide you with a Sienna T radio show update of schedule programming when we start to wrap this up. Enough talk. Let's talk leadoff. And I'll get into some of my thoughts on that Tokyo series in Japan. Konnichiwa to all our Japan listeners. If you are joining us from Japan and in Tokyo, konnichiwa. And hello to all our other listeners across the globe. Thank you so much for joining us here. Time to talk Tokyo Series MLB Opening Day 2025 Dodgers versus Cubs. I'll give you some of my takeaways and then how I felt both teams did as before we came onto the show today. I had some time to take a look at what went down in highlight format. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Konnichiwa! Welcome, everyone, to our leadoff segment. Konnichiwa is one of the openings we were going to give you. But, wow, my goodness me. How about this? Opening up the 2025 season with 2 victories in the MLB regular season. The Dodgers and some notable Japanese players in the MLB get a chance to play in front of their home crowds. And no, I don't mean their American home crowds for their respective teams, but I'm talking about guys like Seiya Suzuki, Roki Sasaki, Shohei Ohtani, Miguel Rojas, and even a guy like the starter in Game 1 for the Dodgers, Yoshiba Yamamoto. That's where my first key takeaway comes in. Opening day on the Tuesday. What an epic, and I mean epic, introduction. I'm going to leave a link into the description of this episode for the epic description. I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video, or rather this show, rather, for you guys to check out. Quite the entertainment between the Dodgers and the Cubs. But I'm going to leave a link actually to enjoy the opening in case you missed it. It's up on the MLB YouTube channel. An epic Pokemon introduction. Shout out to all the Pokemon fans out there. Pokemon. Gotta catch 'em all. Yeah, that's right. You know how opening day would normally start in the MLB with a simple special introduction, player introduction, starting lineups, coaches for the home team, and what have you? Well, Japan has a different way of doing things. They kicked things off epically. They kicked it off epically. It was so epic, in fact, I wish I was going to go ahead and share my screen, but in case we are on YouTube, I want to make sure that we respect the MLB and also respect Tokyo, Japan. All credit for the video that will be linked in the description of the episode going to the MLB and those on site in Tokyo, Japan at the Tokyo Dome. So, a Pokemon epic intro to start. How about the performance by Japan native Shohei Ohtani? Or how about Miguel Amaya? I really like what I saw from Miguel Amaya, and I didn't see the game in full, but I did see the highlights, as I said, off the top. My second takeaway from this one, from game one rather, or no, actually it's game two to be honest. I'm not sure when this guy Rokosaki started for the Dodgers. I think it was. Oh yes, it was in game two. So a lot of firsts, including first batter walk for Rokosaki, 3 strikeouts for his first career strikeouts in the major leagues. Welcome to the show, Rokosaki. 5 batters walked, 1 run earned, and 1 hit given up in 3 innings of work. Not too shabby for the newcomer. We also saw a pitch in this game, a guy by the name of Luis Garcia. We saw Garcia pitch in this one. Not too shabby for him. 2 Ks, 1 walk, 1 run given up, 2 hits given up. Not bad. All right. So I guess that's 3 takeaways. Number 1, the epic Pokemon introduction. Number 2, the Japan natives that were playing in this game for both the respective teams, the LA Dodgers and the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs with a 2-game season series sweep from the LA Dodgers in the Tokyo series, as the Dodgers won that Tokyo series 2-0. They beat the Cubs 6-3 on Wednesday, the day before we started recording this Friday show for Friday, March 21st, 2025. They lost on Wednesday, March 19th, 6-3. They also lost the opener of the Tokyo series, 4-1, in which the Dodgers scored 3 runs in the 5th inning. Chicago got the opening lead in the 2nd inning, and then it was all Dodgers in the ninth inning and in the fifth inning as well. Dodgers get one. They get one in the ninth inning and beat the Cubs 4-1 on Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. They get a 6-3 win over the Cubs on Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. So now it's back to Grapefruit League action for a little bit. Now that the Tokyo series has come and gone. Alrighty, so we talk a little bit about the Tokyo series. Now I don't know who sung. I didn't see who sung the national anthem of that game, but I won't touch on that right now. What we will do, however, is I want to know, for those who were able to attend that game, I want to know right now from you, or by the time this drops on Friday, I want to know from you, if you're going to an opening day game when things really heat up and really get started next Thursday, March 27th, 2025, like when things really start to heat up, I want to know from you, baseball fans, I want to know from you, what are you expecting at opening day? What are you expecting out of your team? So again, for all MLB fans in general, that is a question I want to ask you. I want to know from you, what is your, what is something you are expecting, I should say, at your opening day game? So the question, once again, it will not be a poll, but I will have a form put up on our website leading up to opening day and our next week program, which will be a Penguins post-game show. But we'll get to that in a little bit. And we'll talk about the Penguins in just a second or two. But I do want to let everyone in on this. I want to know, for baseball fans in general, as we get closer to March 27th, 2025, when the rest of the season kicks off, for those who have not played yet, including the teams, the Tigers, the Diamondbacks, the Athletics, the Mariners, the Tigers, Twins, Cardinals, Pirates, Marlins, White Sox, Angels, Padres, Braves, Reds, Giants, Astros, Mets, Guardians, Royals, Nationals, Phillies, Rangers, Red Sox, Yankees, Brewers, and of course, team that I cheer for, the Blue Jays and the Orioles. I want to know from you, what is your expectation when you go to opening day? If you are going to opening day for a game, we are 7 days away from opening day for the rest of the MLB. But for the Cubs and the Dodgers, it came early, and it began on Tuesday as part of a 2-game series in the Tokyo series. All right, we'll talk more about the Blue Jays in a little bit. But coming up next, after this short word from our friends at Take Another Look, the podcast. And of course, our good friends over at Broadcast Map. We will talk Penguins and Jackets. And at the timing of our recording, even though this will drop on Friday, March 21st, 2025, by then we will be only 6 days away from opening day 2025 for the rest of the MLB besides the Dodgers and the Cubs. When we come back on this episode of Sports for Beginners, we'll talk about the Blue Jackets and the Penguins. How many more games do they have? How many games have they played so far? What does the situation look like for the Blue Jackets and the Penguins ahead of their contest? You'll find out all those answers. Plus, who's starting at least game 1 and game 2 as of right now. That is confirmed, unless it does change, because things can change on a dime. You'll find out who is starting for the Blue Jays and the Orioles on opening day a little bit later in our show. We will be right back on Sports for Beginners right after this from Take Another Look and Broadcast Map. Sports for Beginners will continue in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
Thank you very much, Sean, and thank you very much, Ali, for those words from Take Another Look, the podcast. And, of course, Broadcast Map. A lot to discuss on that front. Quick Broadcast Map update. Tracy Johnston was joining Ali in the studio today, and it happened this afternoon at 12:30 p.m. Eastern at the timing of our recording of Thursday, March 20th, 2025. This show is dropping on Friday, March 25th, 21st, I should say. 2025. Tracy Johnson joined the program Broadcast Map to talk media Well, actually, she talks tips and strategies in the new media landscape and how to be effective and how to be an effective storyteller. She is also the founder of Tracy Johnson Media Group. So shout out to Tracy, shout out to Allie. I look forward to taking a look into that show. It seems like it's going to be a great conversation based on what I've heard from host of On the Ice and Behind the Benches, Thomas McGregor, my brother as well. It looks like it's going to be a really great game, or a really great show, rather. Can't wait to hear it, Allie. I didn't tune in live, but I cannot wait to hear it when it becomes available on my favorite podcasting platform. Or should I get an opportunity to check it out on the Broadcast Map YouTube channel? A link will be provided in the description of the episode to the Broadcast Map YouTube channel. And if you want to join Allie on Discord, we will also provide you with a link to join the Broadcast Map Discord server. With that being said, let's jump back into what we were talking about. So as of right now, ladies and gentlemen, as of right now, the Columbus Blue Jackets, we're going to start with the Jackets here, have played in 67 games this season. By the time they play the Penguins for the final time this year, they will have played 68 games this season in 2024-2025. And with that said, they will have, going into Friday's game, 14 games left on the season. They now have 15 games left. By the time you hear this show, they will have 14 games left. And the Penguins, meanwhile, haven't played since Tuesday, when they played in game number 70 of the 82-game season. So now, the Penguins are down to their last 12 games. And for the Jackets, they will be down to their last 13 games. Let me just double check our math here. They will play. So yes, the Jackets have played in 67 games. They have 15 remaining. They'll go down to 14 remaining by the time they have played tonight's matchup against the Florida Panthers. They're on a back-to-back, so they will be in Pittsburgh tomorrow. When you hear this show, they will be down to 14 games remaining, and 13 games remaining, I should say, will be the topic when we talk to you on Penguins postgame, Penguins and the Jackets, as they will have played in game number 69 of the season, I should say. 68 of the season is tonight, which means going into the game against the Penguins, the Blue Jackets will have played in now 68 games coming out of tonight's game at the timing of our recording on Thursday, March 20th, 2025. They're down to 14 games remaining by the time they play Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh will have 11 games remaining. They have played in 70 games this season. So Pittsburgh is down to 12. They're down to 11. Meanwhile, the Blue Jackets are down to, they will have played in game number 69 against the Penguins when they play them one more time. And by the end of the day, the Penguins will have 11 games to go, and the Blue Jackets will have 13 games left on the season. So when we look at the Blue Jackets, we know that they're playing tonight at the timing of our recording on Thursday. We know they're playing tonight. But they have played the Penguins 2 times already this season. The Penguins made them sweat 2 days after mine and the host of On the Ice and Behind the Benches' birthday on January 7th, 2025. That was in Pittsburgh, and it was a 4-3 shootout win for the Blue Jackets. The Penguins made the Jackets sweat in that last contest on January 7th, 2025. But they also lost, the Penguins also lost that game 6-2 on November 15th, 2025. They lost that game 6-2 down in Columbus. The series wraps up in Pittsburgh with 2 games here in Pittsburgh, including tomorrow night's game. I should say tonight's game by the time you tune into the show. And that is the Penguins hosting the Blue Jackets on March 21st, 2025. Now, the team stats for the regular season, these could change before this show hits the air. But the team stats, the Penguins are 10th in power play percentage for the regular season. They are 24% good on the power play. The Columbus Blue Jackets are 23rd in power play percentage for the league. They are at 19.2% good. Both penalty kills pack a punch. The Penguins are 19th in the penalty kill for the league with 77.3%. Just about 76% good on the penalty kill for the Columbus Blue Jackets. They are 25th in the league in penalty kill. In face-off percentage, the Penguins are 6th in the league in face-off percentage with 52.4%. Just about 53% good in the face-off dot. Face-off dot for the Blue Jackets, they are 27th in the league, winning 47.4% of their face-offs, which I guess is equivalent, to 46% of their face-offs have been won. Goals for and per game, the Jackets are 9th in the league at 3.19. Goals for the Penguins per game, they are at 2.90 and 19th, I should say, in the league for the regular season when it comes to that. Now, goals against per game. Both of these teams, oh boy, the Penguins are 31st with 3.56. The Blue Jackets are 27th in the league with 3.31 goals against average in games played. When it comes to games played, that is. Now, in their last 10 games, if again, this could change for the Blue Jackets if they end up winning their game against Florida tonight at the timing of our recording. But right now, in their last 10 games, they are 4-6-0 in their last 10. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games, won 4 of them. They can make that 5-6-0 if they can pick up a win over the Florida Panthers. The Penguins, however, this won't change until the Penguins play again. This won't change until the Penguins play again. In their last 10 games, the Penguins are 5-4-1, including a shootout or overtime. They have lost that once, lost 4 times in regulation, and won 5 times in their last 10 games. They are 5-4-1. So expect some big fireworks coming out of this game. Speaking of fireworks, as we move closer into getting ready for our Blue Jays segment, the Penguins' record heading into this game is 28-32-10. The record going into tonight's game for the Blue Jackets is 31-28-8. That could be, going into this game against the Penguins, that could be 31-29-8, or it could be 31-28-9, depending on how it goes. It could also end up being 32-28-8 if they end up winning that game against the team that they face tonight at the timing of our recording, who comes into the game at a record of 41-24-3. So wrapping it up here on this segment, what am I looking forward to in this one? What am I looking forward to in this one? Well, first and foremost, I'm looking forward to seeing if Tristan Jarry gets the nod against whoever the Blue Jackets will start in this one. My thinking is going to be the backup of the game who is not getting the start against the Panthers tonight. My thinking, it's going to be the backup that will get Tristan Jarry or Alex Nedeljkovic. But I'm thinking if it's going to be Jarry, who is 12-9-4 in his last couple of games, and had a pretty nice winning streak going until the Penguins were not able to keep the perfect homestand going. They had won 3 games in their 5-game homestand that wraps up tomorrow at the timing of our recording. And by the time you hear it, it'll be tonight, I should say. But all things considered, if I'm Mike Sullivan, there's two things I'm thinking about. Number one, is Jari going to be well enough to battle Columbus on Thursday night? Or should I go to Alex Nedeljkovic? Number two, if I'm looking at the game plan against Columbus from last time, I'm trying to figure out, what went right or what has gone right for us before that didn't go right for us just the other night. I'm thinking, what has gone right for us as of late that didn't go right for us just the other night when the Penguins battled the Islanders on Tuesday night, March 18th, 2025. What has gone right for us? And when I also look at the lineup, I'm thinking, if indeed it is Tristan Jarry, I'm thinking maybe I shuffle the lines up a little bit or go back to what was working. Because there's an old saying, and I think it would be the same for sports, but you could disagree. We can agree to disagree on that. And I'll leave you with this. There's an old saying in sports, and specifically hockey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And, well, I'm not sure it's broke. And if we should fix it, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's broke and we should fix it. But we got to do what we got to do. All right, we got to do what we got to do to get it going. All right. Time to talk about the Blue Jays and the Orioles and get ready for that one. I'll even provide you with the final score of the Blue Jays and Rays game and what are the final three games, including a game that is either underway by the time you hear this show or getting close to getting underway. We'll get you the final three games of spring training for the Blue Jays, as well as who is starting so far that we know of in opening day for the Blue Jays and the Orioles. That coming up next on Penguins on Sports for Beginners. Not Penguins postgame. Penguins postgame will come probably on Saturday, maybe Sunday, ahead of that. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Ahead of that game against the Panthers on Sunday. This is season 4's episode 8 of Sports for Beginners. Okay, in any case, we'll get you set up for the Penguins and the Jackets. And we'll also talk some baseball. I want to talk about the Orioles. That's coming up in our final segment right after this from our good friends over at On the Ice and Behind the Benches. And a quick 30-second ad from our good buddy Nick Blazewitz over at Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time. Stick around. We may not talk about what's coming up on the Thursday slate for Sienna T Radio, but that doesn't mean we can't talk about Saturday. You'll hear all that when the show wraps up on the other side. Stick with us.
Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
Okay. As I mentioned off the top of this show, of course, by the time you hear this show, it will be just 8 days away. 6 days, not 8 days. 6 days away from opening day. We are 7 days away at the timing now that I have here, as I have my calendar app open as well. Sorry, not my calendar app, my countdown app open on my phone right now. We are exactly 7 days away from baseball at Rogers Center. The home opener is exactly 7 days away. That's right, my friends. Exactly 7 days away. It's exactly 7 days away. 7 days away, wow. How quickly does time go when you're having fun? Time sure does fly when you're having fun. And speaking of having fun, I've had fun all this show, but we do have some stuff to wrap up here. This is what we would call, what Kelly and Rumia call, or Kelly and Company will call, cut for time. We call it last call. Kind of like what Tim McAuliffe and Sid Sixero would call it on Tim and Friends, or Tim and Sid. Shout out to those boys. They did an absolutely masterful job running the show as best that they could. Really nice work by both of them. I really enjoy it. I truly do. If they were given the opportunity to do it again, I certainly would consider listening, because I really enjoy their show. Sid, you have your moments, but I still like Tim running the show as well. And Tim, you had a nice run with Tim and Friends. All right. back to baseball content for a little bit because we want to also make sure we get back to hockey because I want to provide you with my keys to the game. If you've made it this far, you're coming up to the keys to the game for the Jackets and the Pens. And oh, why not? I mean, by the time you hear this, the game will be over for the Panthers and the Jackets. But oh, why not? Why not just give some key things I'll be keeping an eye on between the Jackets and the Panthers? I might even tune into the radio station for the game. And I'm saying might. But here we go. The Blue Jays pick up a W against the Tampa Bay Rays. They will take on the Philadelphia Phillies one last time in spring training action. First pitch flies at 1:07 p.m. Eastern, 12:07 p.m. Central. The rest is history. We'll keep it to Central and Eastern just for now. We also have another 1:07 p.m. first pitch. That is against the Pittsburgh Pirates on Sunday, March 23rd, 2025. That'll be the spring training finale. And the Minnesota Twins will host the Blue Jays on Saturday, March 22nd, 2025 at 1:05 p.m. Eastern. And then it's opening day week. It's opening day weekend. And finally, it's time to play ball. Next week on Sports for Beginners. 1 week from this week, because we're going to have a Penguins post-game show as our season episode. Ahead of Game 2 of the Orioles versus the Blue Jays. I will have that ahead of Orioles versus Blue Jays Game 2. If we're able to do that. Maybe I'll do it during the off day. The off days leading up to opening day, you don't know, but we will have it for you regardless. We're going to be talking everything baseball. One week from this Friday. During the Penguins game against the Sabres, we will have that for you ahead of the Baltimore Orioles series. We will have that one for you ahead of the Baltimore Orioles series. Game number 2 of the 4-game set. We will have that for you. That will be our episode 9 of season 4. Episode 8 is this show today. And our 10th episode 1 week will be all about wrapping up the NHL season and getting ready for the playoffs. We'll also talk about the Blue Jays. Catch that show probably during the off day. We might record it on the 4th of April during the off day. Heck, we might do it when the Mets are playing the Blue Jays. But all things considered, let's talk about the pitchers, because we're about to get to 1 hour of our show. And I want to make sure that we start wrapping things up here. It will indeed be Zach Eflin versus Jose Barrios. Jose Barrios will get the start against Zach Eflin. To kick things off, fans in the Orioles region can watch it on MASN 2 or listen to the game on 98 Rock 97.9 FM or W Ball 109 AM 1090 AM. Again, for Oriole listeners, listen to the game on the radio on 98 Rock 97.9 FM or W Ball 1090 AM West Baltimore. $10.90 AM. Those listening in Canada, catch the opening day festivities on Sportsnet through the Sportsnet app and on the home of the Blue Jays, Sportsnet 590, The Fan. You can also watch the game on TVA Sports. All right, that's matchup number 1. Who's going in matchup number 2 as probable? Like I said, these matchups can probably change. Well, MLB doesn't really have it for us, so let's go see what we can here. See what we can dig out here. I understand that Kevin Gausman will be getting the start for the Blue Jays on Friday. That is my understanding. That is my understanding. My understanding is it will indeed be Kevin Gausman going for the Blue Jays on Friday. But who is going to go for the Orioles? My understanding is Eflin and Barrios get things started. But the question we're trying to find out is who's starting the other games. Again, the Blue Jays have only announced that our starter for opening day will be Jose Barrios. It will be Eflin versus Barrios. And it looks like it will also indeed be Kevin Gausman versus Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton will go for the Orioles. Kevin Gausman will get the start for the Blue Jays. Well, the one thing we know for sure is those matchups. Let's see if we can find out who else runs down the line for the season. So who's got Saturday afternoon? That will be Dean Kremer and Chris Bassett. Chris Bassett and Dean Kremer, according to CBS Sports. And our next people up for grabs, Now, the Blue Jays haven't made this official yet, whether it will indeed be Bassett. And Bowden will actually get the last one on Sunday. He will get the first Junior Jays Sunday of the season. He will take on, if this stays official, Tomoyuki Sugano. Tomoyuki Sugano would get the start in the last game of the 4-game set on Sunday against Bowden Francis. Bassett gets Kremer. The one thing we do know for sure, Gosman and Barrios will go head-to-head against Eflin and Gosman's got Morton. Those are our starters for this one. Still a lot to be determined, but hey, if MLB doesn't have it, or the score doesn't have it, or wherever, always find another ad, or always find another way to get it, and figure out who's starting when, who is starting when. All right. One game at a time, and Thursday the game will be. Next Thursday the game will be Jose Barrios taking on Zach Eflin. All right. Time to close up shop here. So as we're closing up shop here, before we close up shop, I want to quickly give you some takes. We are about 57 minutes into the show here. So I want to quickly give you some takes here in the last little bits that we have here on our show. Key things I'm looking at. How the Columbus Blue Jackets play the Florida Panthers defensively. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to keep my eyes, even if I'm not watching the game, I'm going to keep my eyes on Sam Bennett. And how about Matthew Oliver? I'll keep my eyes on the player to watch as far as the goal leaders, the leaders in goals. And those are Sam Bennett with 3 and Oliver with 4. Matthew Oliver with 4. So I'm going to keep my eyes on those men. All right, my keys to a Penguins win on Friday. Be aggressive, but not too aggressive. We don't want too many men on the ice penalties in this game. But then again, where's the fun in that? We would love to see anything like that happen. Second key, know who's on your team. We can't have too many more of these costly turnovers that turn into goals. And let me just be clear, Penguins fans, when I say this, I'm talking about not just knowing who's on your team, but I'm talking about passing the puck to the right guy. Do not turn the puck over. When the Penguins do that, it leads to Tristan Jarry having to make saves, and sometimes he can't make a lot of those saves. Third and most importantly, 12 games remaining in this one, remaining when you get into this one, 11 games remaining after this game. Don't worry about the standings. Don't even look at the standings. because you'll regret it if you do. I mean, that's kind of what Hunter said, but I still would look at the standings regardless. But if you're a player on the ice, don't look at the standings. Just go out there and play hockey. Play Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. So be aggressive, but not too aggressive. That's one key to victory for this game, for the Pens. Second key to victory, know who you are passing to that's on your team. That's when I talk about turnovers. And number 3, play Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. We'll see if the Penguins can do that when they play the Blue Jackets. If you're catching this on a Friday, which is obviously when this show should drop, we will talk to you on Saturday right after this game. I would say we'll talk to you the day after the game, about 6 to 4, 8 hours or whatever after the game has ended. But anyways, we will talk to you after the game. That is going to do it for this episode of Season 4 of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you so much for joining us. I started, even though I did a little English earlier in the beginning, I started talking about the Tokyo series in the MLB to kick off this show. I'm going to end it the same way I opened it up when I said konnichiwa, but instead I'm going to say, as I am Scott McGregor, signing off here. Enjoy the hockey game, Penguins fans. Look forward to catching up with you after the Pens and the Jackets. Enjoy the hockey game. Let's go, Pens. And for our own little sign off here, my name is Scott McGregor, and this has been Sports for Beginners, the podcast. This has been episode 8 of season 4. Next week on the show, we are talking Penguins and Sabres right after the game. For that episode, Pens and the Sabres, that comes your way ahead of Orioles versus That will come your way ahead of Orioles versus Blue Jays, Gosman versus Morton. That will come your way ahead of that game, which is a 7:07 p.m. first pitch start time. 3:07 p.m. first pitch times, which are Saturday and next Thursday for the Blue Jays. But right now it's 1:07 and 1:05 p.m. games for the rest of spring training. Blue Jays, as we wrap up here on this show, on the recording of our day of recording, beat the Rays 4-1. How will they fare in the regular season? We'll know in due time. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next time. And for the Penguins fans out there, enjoy the hockey game. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit
the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.